day and welcome to the State. It is a special edition of the State coming to you from the Wesley Cathedral in Cape Coast. It is the place where the people called Methodists, the leadership of Methodist Church, meeting at its General Purposes Council. So they will gather here and take key decisions that affect the church. So you've heard about beautiful cities in the world. So many beautiful cities you have heard about. How about Venice in Italy? You've heard about Paris in France, known for its beautiful, or known as the City of Light. Then Francisco in America. How about Hong Kong? These are breathtaking cities, but we have one in Ghana. It is known for its rich history, beautiful beaches, and very vibrant culture. You want to find out more? Stay with me. My name is Gabriel, new to Ankrah. Stay for details.
Yes, the solution to all your travel needs is here. Ankrah Lodge and Travel Services offers you the opportunity to travel to the following countries: Canada, United States of America, Turkey, Dubai, UK, Australia, New Zealand, Malta, Germany, and other European countries, where skilled workers such as nurses, paramedics, nannies, and caregivers, drivers, plumbers, masons, electricians, carpenters, painters, etc. are needed for urgent employment. Ankrah Lodge and Travel Services can secure your Schengen visas with work permits. Individuals, organizations, churches, schools can contact us for their ticketing and hotel reservation, car rental services, international tour packages, travel consultation, visa assistance, and study abroad packages to all countries. We are located at Mr. Bates bus stop opposite the Calvary Baptist Church at Abaka, Accra, or contact us on these numbers: 0544-279525 or 0545-622-672 or 0302-237557. Ankrah Lodge and Travel Services, your destination, our pride.
Welcome back. Let us settle for W Briefs. On W Briefs, what we do is to give you an executive summary, the facts of the discussion that we are having today. So, heritage. When we say heritage, heritage refers to the cultural, historical, and natural assets that are handed over from one generation to the next. So, historical, cultural, natural assets that are handed over from one generation to the next. The city of Cape Coast, very beautiful, replete with beautiful beaches and very vibrant culture. History abounds here. The city is known to have been founded in the 13th and 14th century, about 600 years ago. Not until 1877 that it moved from Cape Coast here to Accra. Methodism is said to have started from Cape Coast in the first, or let's say on 1st January 1835. So the roots of the Methodist Church starts from here. The city has contributed significantly to the economy and religious development. Don't forget, the citadel of education is here in Cape Coast. We asking that what has been the role of this great city called Cape Coast in church and state development. I will be back to introduce my guests. Please stay.
people of Ghana. From Cape Coast to every corner of Ghana, the Wesleyan family is calling out to you. Yes, you. Join us to thank God for His manifold blessings as we celebrate His goodness and unfailing mercies. The Methodist Church Ghana marks a week of trying blessings as we hold our 13th Biennial General Purposes Council meeting from August 19 to August 24, 2025 at the Wesley Cathedral, Cape Coast. This will be followed by a grand derby to climax the 190th anniversary of Methodism in Ghana on Saturday, August 23, 2025 at the forecourt of the Wesley Cathedral, Chapel Square, Cape Coast. You can't afford to miss that. On Sunday, August 24, it's a double celebration as we ordain new Methodist ministers at the University of Cape Coast. On that same Sunday, we are painting the entire Ghana blue with a Methodist blue cloth in every society across the connection as we thank God for a successful 190th anniversary celebrations. The entire celebrations is on the theme, Walking in the Word, Equipped for Every Good Work, 2 Timothy 3 verse 16 to 17, and will be led by the presiding bishop of the Methodist Church Ghana, the Most Reverend Professor Johnson Kwabena Asamoah Jedu, assisted by the lay president Brother Kwesi Atak Entry and the administrative bishop, the Right Reverend Dr. William Ej Imperijechi. The host bishop is the Right Reverend Richard Senabuachi Andam, the Methodist Bishop of Cape Coast Diocese. Your favorite Christian television station, Wesleyan TV, will be in Cape Coast throughout this week-long celebration for live telecast of some of the programs from the venue. We'll also bring you live coverage activities, special discussion programs and features, sport interviews, and all the sights and sounds from the root of Methodism. Ogwafo, when you're ready, the Methodists are sorry bafie. I will serve the church. WTV, reaching out to the world.
Welcome back. This is The State. It is your favorite current affairs program on Christian television. Today, we are coming to you from the Wesley Methodist Cathedral in Cape Coast. It is a special edition of The State. It is because it is the 13th General Purpose Council of the Methodist Church Ghana. The leadership of the Methodist Church Ghana gathering here from now till Sunday to take key decisions for the church. And we are looking at the city called Cape Coast. You recall that I started mentioning some of the finest cities in the world. I mentioned Paris in France, known as the City of Light. There is Venice in Italy with its winding canals. There is the Eternal City, Rome. Of course, in Africa, there is Cape Town. Cape Town is known for its stunning landscape. In Ghana, we have the Cape Coast. It's a city that has beautiful beaches. It has natural ambience here, vibrant culture, and rich history. The focus is on the historical relevance. The focus is on the historical relevance of Cape Coast to state and church. That is what we are looking at today. And you wouldn't want to move away from your set because history is about to be retold. What is in it for the next generation? Has Cape Coast contributed significantly to the development of Ghana, which is the state? Our guest is the heritage coordinator for the Cape Coast Diocese of the Methodist Church Ghana, the very Reverend Benjamin Ankrah. Papa, welcome to the state. Good to have you.
Thank you.
Wonderful. So,
as a Methodist, let me say that I'm a reverend, not yet a very reverend.
Not yet a very reverend. Yeah, you are speaking like a Methodist. You don't want any
problem.
Very well. So, Reverend Benjamin Ankrah, Heritage Coordinator, Cape Coast Diocese. So, our viewers are key and glued to their sets because we're going to talk about this great city called Cape Coast. We know the church has its roots here, and even the history of Ghana cannot be written without Cape Coast. Sure. So, first off, tell us about Cape Coast and its people.
Thank you very much. First, let me greet your viewers, and let me also welcome them to Cape Coast. As you rightly said, Cape Coast is Ghana, because if we're talking of civilization, and we're talking of where it all began, right from colonial days, it started from Cape Coast. Cape Coast, let me also say that for the purpose of those listening to us, and as Cape Coasters, from time to time, we may chip in some fancies to ensure that it is going down well with everyone. So Cape Coast, as we say in Akan, is Ogwa. And Ogwa, as a word, is generated from marketplace. Gwa. Inti Oyugwa. No, Ogwa, Cape Coast. Now, many wouldn't know that Cape Coast, as we say it today, has a name. And the name that Cape Coast was previously called, I will mention it soon. But before I do that, I want us to look at Cape Coast and where we come from. The indigents are believed to have migrated from Bronga Hafu Techiman. Arriving in Mankesim, then the dispersion takes place. So we have people moving, the Abra people moving, we have the Efutus and all others coming in. Then we see this group called Cape Coast also coming. Now, Cape Coast, as we are having it today, as I rightly said, was a marketplace, a market center. And as a market center, people came from far and near to trade. When the Europeans came, looking at the strategic nature of the land, they saw it to be, in Portuguese language, Cabo Corsa, which simply means cape. Now, to them, the situation of the community was more or less like a cape in their definition. These citizens or indigents were mostly fishermen. They were fisher folks, and the city developed before we realized it was the capital of Ghana. But up to 1877, the city lost its capitalism to Ankrah. Currently, I would say that it is multifaceted with every necessary thing to call it a city and an urban city as such.
Very well, very well. Now, I'll come back to it losing its status, because it gained a status of a city under colonial rule.
Sure.
So it was the first city in Ghana that got its status as a city, as it was given by the colonialists, as it were. Tell us about the people. We want to know the people who live here, their values, their their language, how they carry themselves. How beautiful are the people here?
Thank you. Cape Coast is the place to be. Our people are fishermen by nature, but currently it is the hub of education, it is the citadel of education, and so we have the educated elites in the community. Our language is Fanti. We speak Fanti. So even though we speak Fanti, it is interspersed with some vocabularies in the English language, because we hosted the colonial masters, the Europeans, more than other cities in the country. We have a number of educational institutions. Education started here in Cape Coast, right from the Cape Coast Castle, and then it spreaded through these missionary works from the Catholics, the Anglicans, the Methodists, and others also followed. I would say that currently Cape Coast is made up of all sorts of people, different communities, different indigens, all are being welcomed, and it is a place of which its indigens are very, very hospitable. Foreigners come in, day out, and they enjoy being in Cape Coast.
Very well, viewers. So just like Osofo mentioned, it is the cradle or citadel of education. So join us on the morning show tomorrow, where there is a special focus on the education that evolved in Cape Coast, that the setup, the systems, the schools that are in Cape Coast. So you don't want to miss it tomorrow. Join us on the morning show. You'll see all the schools that started in Cape Coast, and they have great contribution to our nation, Ghana. Papa, let me ask you. You mentioned that I was hoping to know what makes the people who they are, their emotions, their values. Are they hospitable? What can you share that? What defines them as humans? So they are nice people.
They are very nice people. Whether they know you or not, a true Cape Coaster will laugh with you, will welcome you, will be ready to even share a bed with you. As young people, it is common to say "ase," and when we say "ase," it doesn't mean we know you, but because we are a brother, we believe that we are all one, and we are very united people. We don't discriminate. Very welcoming. In terms of temperament, you see that there might be people fighting here and there in other cities, but that is not common in Cape Coast.
Very well.
Cape Coast is very, very peaceful.
Are you a people of faith? What is the belief of the people?
Before the introduction of Christianity, as in most other cities, fetishism was at its peak in Cape Coast. But it is very, very good to say that Cape Coast is one of the indigenous places where many churches, and when I say many churches, the churches that the Europeans introduced started. So we can have Cape Coast, we can have a number of churches. The Methodist Church, my own church, started from Cape Coast.
Is it a dominant faith here, the dominant religion? Can we say the people of Cape Coast are Wesleyans or Methodists?
They are, sure, they are predominantly Methodist. Comparing it to other churches, if you sample 10 people, you wouldn't be surprised to have about 6 being Methodist. So this community is a Methodist community.
Very well. So we'll dig further into the historical relevance of Cape Coast. We'll look at the church. We'll come to the church. I'm still trying to help viewers to get a picture of Cape Coast, as it were. So up until somewhere 1471, when the Portuguese came in.
Sure.
Was Cape Coast developed? How were the people living? Is it the Europeans that gave them identity? How were we need to know?
Good. So Cape Coast, we existed as a state on our own. We had our systems already in place before the coming of the Europeans. We had our faith, which I've earlier said that we did believe in fetishism before the introduction of Christianity. We had our chiefs as the head of government. We had the people paying reverence to community leaders. Every system was in place, and so as a market center, you would understand that even in those days, people would yearn to visit Cape Coast for the necessary accessories they want to purchase. So Cape Coast had developed before 1471, even the coming of the Europeans.
It is argued that when you alluded to it earlier on, when the capital was moved to Ankrah, I think that was 1877. The history has it that since then Cape Coast had not been Cape Coast again. it had a serious effect on the city. That now you can't even say Cape Coast is a rich city anymore. How was the impact?
Good. You see, before 1877, as Cape Coast being the head or the capital, just as we see in Ankrah today, everybody was in a rush to Cape Coast. Development, opportunities, factories, any development, all was in Cape Coast. So jobs was common in Cape Coast. Now, per the move of the capital to Ankrah, things turned out to change. This is because now people who were looking for white-collar jobs in ministries would have to turn their eye to Ankrah. Again, people who were coming in for other things, such as even trade, did not have the market patronage just as before. However, I wouldn't say it's a ghost town, because Cape Coast continues to be Cape Coast. Although some job opportunities have been lost because of the education and its being a regional capital, there are a number of people also trooping in still. But for the education, it makes the community still vibrant. Only that monetary issues, economic issues is not as
it used to be. It has moved to the city.
Yeah,
which is now Ankrah. Education cannot be taken from you,
not
because young people still trooping, people still come to Cape Coast for education. That is also what we're saying basically, is that Cape Coast remains Cape Coast.
It remains Cape Coast.
It's wonderful. Now let's look at the tourism aspect of Cape Coast. Can you mention some of the tangible elements that we should look out for when we come to Cape Coast?
Cape Coast in general, in the books of Ghana tourism, is number one. If any tourist is visiting Ghana, he or she will be looking at coming to see the Cape Coast Castle. He would be yearning. We have a number of places or points. I'll come to the religious sector, but the community in its own, or on its own, has the Emintmaze Palace. That palace houses the Omahin of Cape Coast. Aside that, we have certain places that traditionally you cannot miss. One of the unique tourist boost is the 𝗟𝗓𝗩𝗘 Afeshe. If you ever want to celebrate a festival, you cannot leave Cape Coast out, because Afeshe, Gwaya Afeshe, Oninya Afeshe. But when we're talking of tourist sites, and I know you will ask me, looking at Methodist Church, for example, it has over 20 tourist sites in the Cape Coast House.
We'll come to that. We will specialize on the church's heritage sites. Yes, when we are gradually moving in, we have dealt with the state and the relevance of Cape Coast. Then we'll look at the church too. But before we look at the role of the Cape Coast to the church, you've not mentioned the famous Kotokraba market.
Wow.
Tell us about Kotokraba market. Good.
So many people will say Kotokraba market. Kotokraba market is Kotoraba. Kotoraba. You see, Koto means crab. And the Aura is more or less like a marshy area. Now, the place was full of crabs in those days.
The market, where it is...
Where we have what we call the market today, it is full of crabs. And in those days, people went there to take these crabs. Now, the introduction of market, as I mentioned, that it was a marketplace, people were coming in. And so when the first market was to be built, this rubber or that the people were taking the crabs from was filled, and the first market was built. You see, Cape Coast Market, Kotoraba, which has now been called Kotokraba Market, is one of the earliest markets in the country. It has everything that a big market in a city must
Yes,
have.
I was going to ask you what makes it unique. There are markets all over the place.
Sure.
Why should we bother to visit the Kotokraba market? Are we still going to get crabs there?
Good. That makes us unique again. You see, in our markets, we still have fresh food coming from the villages to sell in the market. And we are not talking of foodstuffs that are weeks old. We're talking of people go to the farm to bring the foodstuffs on daily basis, fresh foods. And then we also have fresh fish coming from the sea. Days before it gets to the market. But in our market, you have the agric aspect, having all the freshes there. Kotor is not a problem.
There's still Kotor there.
From where we sit, in less than 200 meters at the seashore, you get fresh crab. Crab is all over.
So it still has its relevance.
It still have, and that is why we have Ogwa Akoto. So we have the Ogwa Akoto, the famous Ogwa Akoto symbol at London Bridge. You see, it's only in Cape Coast that we have a place called London Bridge.
I drove past London
Yes.
Bridge this morning.
And you saw the bridge.
Yes, I saw the bridge.
Yes.
I saw the bridge. Viewers, it is a sight to behold when you want to visit Ghana. But let me touch briefly on two things, then we move to the relevance, the historical antecedents regarding the Methodist Church Ghana. First off is the fact that globally the Cape Coast Castle is designated as a heritage site, a World Heritage Site.
Yeah.
And as we speak, UNESCO has even given the place about pounds for renovation just to put it in shape. Global attention.
Thank you. The Cape Coast Castle, which is 124 meters from the Wesley Cathedral, served as the hub of slave trade. The castle remains relevant with all the necessary artifacts to prove the rot, the unfortunate, and the mishandling of humanity in the days of slave trade. The castle is so unique that when you get there, you see a church at the top and the slave dungeon down. People who seem to be worshipping God and were molesting their colleague human beings. This castle serves as the starting point of education in Ghana.
We have the shots of the Cape Coast Castle in your view, viewers.
Yeah,
this is the Cape Coast
Castle. And you can see the nature of it. It is in a shape form. The shape you see is a shape-like car adopted as slaves across the country were brought. This was the point of exit. So we have the point of no return, the gate of no return. This vessel naturally has three terms as remembrance. 1, slave trade. 2, education. 3, religiosity.
Three things. That was the Reverend Benjamin Ankrah. He is the heritage coordinator for the Cape Coast Diocese. If you are just joining us, viewers, this is still the state where we probe the issues and dig the solutions. It is a special edition of the state because today we are coming to you from the Wesley Methodist Cathedral here in Cape Coast. It is because it is the 13th Methodist General Purposes Council. It is a leadership council meeting, if you want to say it in layman's terms, that the leadership of the Methodist Church gathering here to take key decisions. So the focus is on the historical relevance of Cape Coast to the state and the church. So if you're just joining us, you have missed, because we have traveled on a historical journey of the beautiful city and beautiful people called Ogwe people, or Cape Coasters. And the coordinator has helped us to look at it over the period. We've seen where they came from, we've seen this education, the people, the beauty, the tourism contribution, and all that. Papa, in a minute or two, we cannot talk about a people without their festival.
Sure.
I hear there's a 𝗟𝗡𝗩𝗘 this week, so there's no noise making and all that. Briefly tell us about this festival.
𝗟𝗡𝗩𝗘 is simply the festival of the people of Cape Coast. Now this festival, just like other festivals, is used to commemorate one.
Papa, let's viewers see the 𝗟𝗡𝗩𝗘 on their shorts now, right on your screens. So that is what Osofo is explaining.
This was our, as you can see, this particular festival reminds the people of who we were before even slavery. So during this festival, we come out with our natural culture. The administrative structure of Cape Coast is displayed. We have the Omahin and other chiefs showcasing the rich culture of Cape Coast. Before this one, we have what we call commemorating our past. And in our past, we did know that the sun is sun. And so, days to this, there's a ban on noise, usually 2 weeks, of which reverence is given to the gods of the land, and also a period of peace whereby people recount the happenings in the past year and how we've been protected.
Very well. And it takes 2 weeks for the drumming on the noise making, and then the celebration itself.
Yeah, so the celebration is usually the first Saturday of September.
Oh.
And this festival draws people from all over the globe. That is where we try to have a reunion, and then we also try to celebrate the successes and pray that the unfortunate that happened in the past year is not repeated.
It's not repeated. Very well. You mentioned that there are about 77 gods you had here in Cape Coast. Abosom Eduson. Very well, very well. And then you've mentioned that you recount your faith. And so let's come to faith. Let's look at the coming in of Methodism into Cape Coast, because the Methodist Church marks 190 years this year, 2025. The celebration began. When did Methodism come in? Get us the picture into when Methodism came in.
Well, thank you. So the Methodist Church Ghana in itself started around 1832 when some young boys gathered at the castle school and started studying the Bible with their teacher. Surprisingly, their quest in the Bible developed. So by 1834, these young men decided to question some things that their preacher, their headmaster, was preaching. But this headmaster had a particular rule. Listen, don't ask questions. Listen, this is what I say, obey. Unfortunately, it did not go down with these young men, and so they decided to ask more questions. They started being seen as stubborn, and to teach them a lesson, these young boys were arrested and put in a small room, maybe guard room, which we may call the castle prison. So in 1834, latter part of 1834, then one of the young boys who was imprisoned, they were released. This young boy was called William de Graft, who hailed from Anumabo. So upon his release from the prison, William de Graft traveled to Dieskov. But to be fair to my dear people of Cape Coast, I would want to mention the names of these 13 people whose families will be watching me and will be happy. So the 13 people who, as at 1834, had formed the Bible band and were staying at the castle were George Blankson, John Sam, Henry Brew, John Smith, George Brown, John Nazer, John Agre, Kobna Mensa Saki, Kobna Mensa, Insedu, and then William de Graft, Thomas Hughes. I think you would know Thomas Hughes. He wrote the Methodist Faith, and Joseph Smith, who was the headmaster. So William de Graft left Anumabo to Dieskov.
Also, not to Button, but all the names you mentioned were Ghanaians.
They are indigenous people.
Because you mentioned de Graft, you mentioned Smith, you mentioned
the joy is that when they went to school, the people they took as mentor informally gave them those names. So you see William de Graft, and the name sounds European. Yeah, in fact, it is only in Cape Coast that when you mention the name, you hear the son. So you will hear Williamson, Forson, the son. All the SONs are from Cape Coast.
Here, okay. So these were the 13 people that started the Bible band, yes.
So they went, when William got to Dieskov, even though he had left the brothers, his other brothers in Cape Coast, he was still thinking about them. Our main focus is to get a Bible. But what is happening? Even though we've been imprisoned, our faith has not been imprisoned. So he went and met this captain called Captain Porter, James Porter. He was the captain of a ship called Congo ship. Now, they traded from Bristol to West Africa.
Very well. Papa will press the pedal here. Yes, Captain Porter, this is Captain Porter.
Yeah.
In the middle, as Papa is giving us the history. Yeah, that's the bust of Captain Porter. So these are the fathers, if we say.
Yeah.
We are rightly can call them that brought in Methodism, or their struggles, or their commitment and zeal got us where we are 190 years as a faith people. So when viewers, the history is getting interesting. Do you know that the first missionaries died because of mosquito? Do you know they couldn't survive? Who was the first to have survived? And were there local people who really heralded the coming of Methodism into Ghana through Cape Coast? Don't go away yet. Reverend Benjamin Ankrah, Heritage Coordinator, I'll be back with him to continue with the heritage of the Methodist Church Ghana. I'll take a quick turn. We'll be back soon. Stay.
Oh yes, the solution to all your travel needs is here. Ankrah Lodge and Travel Services offers you the opportunity to travel to the following countries: Canada, United States of America, Turkey, Dubai, UK, Australia, New Zealand, Malta, Germany, and other European countries, where skilled workers such as nurses, paramedics, nannies and caregivers, drivers, plumbers, masons, electricians, carpenters, painters, etc. are needed for urgent employment. Ankrah Lodge and Travel Services can secure your Schengen visas with work permits. Individuals, organizations, churches, schools can contact us for their ticketing and hotel reservation, car rental services, international tour packages, travel consultation, visa assistance, and study abroad packages to all countries. We are located at Mr. Bates bus stop opposite the Calvary Baptist Church at Abraka, Accra, or contact us on these numbers: 0544 27 9525 or 0545 622 672 or 0302 237557. Ankrah Lodge and Travel Services, your destination, our pride.
Good people of Ghana, from Cape Coast to every corner of Ghana, the Wesleyan family is calling out to you. Yes, you. Join us to thank God for His manifold blessings as we celebrate His goodness and unfailing mercies. The Methodist Church Ghana marks a week of trying blessings as we hold our 13th Biennial General Purposes Council meeting from August 19 to August 24, 2025 at the Wesley Cathedral, Cape Coast. This will be followed by a grand derby to climax the 195th anniversary Saturday, August 23, 2025 at the forecourt of the Wesley Cathedral, Chapel Square, Cape Coast. You can't afford to miss that. On Sunday, August 24, it's a double celebration as we ordain new Methodist ministers at the University of Cape Coast. On that same Sunday, we are painting the entire Ghana blue with a Methodist blue cloth in every society across the connection. In the word, equipped for every good work, 2 Timothy 3 verse 16 to 17, and will be led by the presiding bishop of the Methodist Church Ghana, the Most Reverend Professor Johnson Kwabena Asamoah Jedu, assisted by the lay president Brother Kwesi Atak Entry, and the administrative bishop, the Right Reverend Dr. William Ejay Imperijechi. The host bishop is the Right Reverend Richard Senabuachi Andam, the Methodist Bishop of Cape Coast Diocese. Your favorite Christian television station, Wesleyan TV, will be in Cape Coast throughout this week-long celebration for live telecast of some of the programs from the venue. We'll also bring you live coverage activities, special discussion programs and features, sport interviews, and all the sights and sounds from the root of Methodism. Ogwafo, when you're ready, the Methodists are sorry bafie. I will serve the church. WTV, reaching out to the world.
Welcome back. This is The State. Today is a special edition of The State where we are coming to you from the Wesley Methodist Cathedral, Cape Coast. And the focus is on the historical relevance of Cape Coast to the state. When I say the state, not the show, to Ghana and to the church. The church, that is the focus is on the historical relevance. Cape Coast and focus or in perspective. And the heritage coordinator for the Cape Coast Diocese, the Reverend Benjamin Ankrah, has been giving us insights, historical journey into the diocese, into the city where the history started from, the beautiful people, the culture, the natural assets that they have. Before we went on break, he touched briefly on the entry of Methodism into Ghana through Cape Coast, where he mentioned 13 young men who at the castle school, they were imprisoned. You could learn, but you couldn't ask questions. They requested a Bible through one Captain Porter, and they brought it from a ship called Congo. And thankfully, the first missionary came in. The first missionary who came in, and then let's move on. Yeah.
Reverend Joseph Routh-Danwo, whose bust is right in front of the cathedral, arrived on the Gold Coast on 1st of January 1835. He came to meet these 13 boys who were ready and yearning for the Bible. So he preached his first sermon on 4th January 1835. Then something unique happened. At Ankrah, about 50 meters west of the Wesley Cathedral. Should I say west? Okay, that will be east of the Wesley Cathedral, and very close to the castle. As he was preaching, you know, we have the 77 gods, and that is what they believed in. They saw him introducing a god, a new god, and that is where the power of a woman to salvage Methodism comes in. I know you may ask a question from there, so let me leave you with that one. So that is how it started. There are certain points that I would want us to identify in Cape Coast, so that if anybody is coming to expand the GPC, if anybody is coming to Cape Coast, whether you are Methodist or not, you must yearn to visit some of these places.
Sure, let's do.
The first place that I would want everyone to know of is a place called Beulah Chir Akonfo Those of us who would have the unique opportunity to be at the Grand Derby of the 190th anniversary, I've written a play titled Methodist Mbo, and it is based on Beulah Akonfo.
Methodist Mbo to wait. Congratulations. Or
Methodist, well done.
Well done, okay.
Well done, Methodist, or Methodism. At this place, in 1839, Thomas Birch Freeman. But before that, let me pay homage to some 5 missionaries who came in before Thomas.
Before Freeman.
So, Joseph Rotdawa came 6 months as a result of malaria or mosquito bites. He died. But the Western missionaries brought in other missionaries after Thomas, but Joseph Rotdawa. Now, Joseph Rotdawa died. Then, the Reverend Wrigley and his wife came in with Reverend Harrop and his wife. Now, Wrigley's wife, who is Harriet Wrigley, started Wesley Girls. So, viewers can probably watch out for the education and its history.
Viewers, please, preparations are still underway to receive delegates to the Cape Coast Cathedral for the expanded GPC. So if you hear knocks on woods and there are preparations, carpenters are knocking nails into woods, there are a few things going on. So please pardon us, it is still preparation for GPC. Papa, please continue. George Wrigley and wife came in, then Harrop.
So we have George Wrigley and the wife came in with Peter Harrop and his wife. Now, the unfortunate thing is that these people also died within a very short period. In fact, then we had started this chapel, the Wesley Cathedral. There's a unique thing that people do not know about this chapel. The chapel was a bit smaller. During the era of Reverend Jeffkins, who was a tutor at Infantsville, and they wanted to expand the chapel, we buried these 5 missionaries, that is Ruth Danwell, Peter Harrop and the wife, Wrigley and the wife, beside the chapel. If I should say beside, it is rather behind the chapel. Then as the expansion was being done, the question was, where do we put our heroes? Because the numbers had increased. So they decided that instead of exhuming the body, let us leave these people. Per the calculation of the expansion, it is going to be the center of this new chapel. So these bodies were left there, and the chapel was expanded. And this middle part is where we have the pulpit of the cathedral. It is a unique experience to stand on the bones of our forefathers to preach. I will ask you that. It's interesting, viewers. The history is getting interesting. So aside regular programs on WTV, because of the expanded GPC, there are other developing programs and content that we'll be bringing to you. So stay locked to WTV. We don't want to move away. Aside the regular programs, there are other programs that will be coming so that people called Methodists, so that viewers across the globe will get deep insights into the church and the people called Methodists. So, yes, so Wesley Chapel is what you see in your shots now. You can see the first chapel in Ghana. The Premier Society.
The Premier Society.
The pulpit just went by.
Yes, the pulpit is also mentioned where they call them the Paysetter missionaries.
Is the pulpit.
Yes, where they were buried, George. As you can see, Reverend Joseph Dunwell.
The sacred remains.
Yeah, the sacred remains of Reverend Mrs. George Wrigley and Peter Harrop and wife were buried there. And that is where we have the pulpit there. So history being retold, history been re-narrated, history been redefined. So you don't want to move away from WTV from now till Sunday. Your regular programs will come off, but look for fresh content on the history of the church. That's the Cathedral for you.
Sure.
Ebenezer Cathedral, Cape Coast.
Oh no, Wesley. That's the Wesley Cathedral.
That is Wesley. That is Wesley.
Cathedral.
Forgive me. I have the coordinator here. What happened? So that is Wesley. The first chapel in the
mother of all cathedrals in the connection.
You can hear the coordinator blow his trumpet. The mother of
all cathedrals.
Very well, very well. So, Papa, tell us about Beulah briefly and mention some heritage sites.
Good. So, what happened is, after these 5 people dying, there was the need to re-strategize. So, the Western missionaries decided to bring in somebody whose system could withstand the weather. They brought in this man who is called Thomas Birch Freeman. He arrived in 1838. Being the 4th missionaries, Cape Coast, we are fancies. So when you come to Cape Coast, Thomas Birch Freeman has a fancy name. His name is 𝗟𝗓𝗓 because he arrived on a Wednesday.
On a Wednesday.
And he was the 4th missionary after Dunwell, Harrop, Wrigley. So the 4th, 𝗟𝗓𝗓.
So
we are not counting the women.
That is Birch Freeman.
Yes.
𝗟𝗓𝗓. On your shorts now, viewers.
Thomas Birch Freeman.
Thomas Birch Freeman.
Yes.
Today we have been told he had an indigenous name.
Yeah.
𝗟𝗓𝗓.
So one thing happened. He was a very prayerful man. He would walk from the Stamfast Manse.
That's him, Birch Freeman.
Yes. To
the bust.
The bust in your shorts. So you would walk from here to a solitary place, a very small community then. Now this community was at the bank of the Kakum River. Fetish priests from all over went to that bank to pour libation. Surprisingly, Thomas Birch Freeman decided to use the place as his prayer retreat center. He would go there to pray. Now, when he arrived in the community, he saw all sorts of fetish priests coming here and there. Then he declared, Isaiah 62 verse 4, this land is now married to the Lord. The Lord has delight in this land. Henceforth, let no man come here to offer sacrifice to any deity.
He declared that.
He made that declaration. This is in 1839. Do you know the amazing thing? Any fetish priest who did not go by that instruction and went to offer sacrifice, upon his return, he would die. The surprising thing is that just about 3 to 4 years ago, there is this fetish priest. I'm talking of present issue. There was a funeral in the community, and this fetish priest attempted attending. Upon getting to the entrance of the community, she began shouting fire. There was fire all around her, and she went back. Today the place is called 𝗟𝗓𝗓, and the name Beulah is named after the community.
Very well. 𝗟𝗓𝗓. So, Reverend Birch Freeman, what's that powerful and that spiritual after declaring that? So early in the day, on the morning show, we showed his personal Bible, personal Bible that he used in his meditation and his study. That Bible was shown on the morning show. If you missed that, you can see that Bible on Facebook, WTV, or at 10 p.m. there will be a repeat this evening. You can catch a glimpse of Reverend Thomas Birch Freeman's Bible that he used. It's personal Bible.
It will also be on display.
It would also be on display throughout the period. So if you can pass by
the Susan Exhibition Center, we will display the Bible.
It will be displayed. That such was that power, that spiritual fervor that he used to declare. The power is still present, manifested a few days ago. Papa, we have just about a minute or so. Touch on
our heritage site.
Yes.
So apart from that place, we have the very first site that Methodism was started, where the first 50 membership cards were issued. It is at Mamia Kromer's place, the woman who delivered Joseph 𝗟𝗓𝗓 from being beaten as a result of his preaching of Jesus the Christ. We also have where we call Obidan Nananum Paul through Thomas Beth Freeman and Akwesi. The people were delivered from this lies of fetish priest that is located at Obidan. We have a museum at Abiaze Dominance. You see the genesis of Methodism, the very shape, Congo shape. We have the actual picture in Abiaze Dominance.
Very well, Papa. So that is why viewers, you must not miss any opportunity to stay glued to WTV from now till Sunday, because history is being narrated live from here. So you don't want to miss. You just heard the Reverend Benjamin Ankrah. He's the heritage coordinator for the Cape Coast Diocese of the Methodist Church Ghana, GPC, holding here. He has walked us through the history. There are a lot to unfold, so don't miss the least opportunity. Stay glued to your set. History gives us identity. History gives us that roots where it tells us and interprets it, and it tells us the future where to hold. So it interprets, it's wisdom. It interprets, it preserves and conserves our culture. What a time to stay glued to WTV. Please, you wouldn't want to move away yet, because history is being told. My name is Gabriel to Ankrah. Thank you for your company. We'll be back on your screens again on Wednesday for the regular states. Goodbye.